Hi, this is Kerry Tice with Circus Soul Yoga. And this is Kara. She's going to be your student today. We're going to be working on an introductory level course called the Flying Yoga A Series. The first thing you want to do is make sure that your hammock is at the correct height. So you're going to look at it and it's going to be just below the hips, about mid-thigh, but you're going to check to make sure that is correct by taking one leg over, making sure you're in neutral position right underneath of the hammock, and coming in for a runner's lunge. And when you come in for this runner's lunge, I want you to be able to put the ball of your foot on the floor, but I don't want you to put your heel on the floor. So go ahead and take some time to go ahead and correct your hammock if it's not at the correct height. Once you've got your hammock set at the right height, go ahead and take your leg out and we'll get inside and set up. So you're going to stretch out the fabric. Go ahead and grab onto the edge of the fabric and give it a little fluff. Make sure it's not folded over. And then you're going to take the edge of the fabric and slide it right against the buttocks. You're going to go ahead and sit down like you're going to sit down in a hammock or in a bed. And then go ahead and lay down all the way. Stretching out. Being supported by the hammock from all the way from the toes to the crown of the head. Take a little time to snuggle in. This is aerial Shavasana. You're welcome to come back to this point in the class at any time if it becomes too intense or if you've lost your breath. Now that you've laid down in the hammock, take a moment and notice the sensation that's happening in the body. Notice how the body has become relaxed. And now bring your attention to the breath. To the one-seated attention of watching the breath and taking one breath after another. Being completely present. Being completely aware. Taking a few breaths with the awareness at the breath. Now that you've brought your awareness to the breath, begin to deepen the breath, first by extending the exhale. When you think you've exhaled as much as you can, engage the belly and squeeze a little more breath out. And when you think you've inhaled as much as you can, take one more sip of breath. And to continue breathing like this, long and slow, in and out through the nose, taking each breath a little longer, a little truer, a little slower. Now that we've brought awareness and depth to the breath, work on balancing the breath. See if you can measure the inhale to the length of the exhale, either by counting with your head or measuring with the beats of your heart. Make the length of the inhale the same length as the exhale. Bringing balance to the breath is the fastest way to bring balance to the mind. And now that you've brought an awareness, a depth, and balance to the breath, begin to smooth out the transitions between breaths, letting exhales naturally flow into inhales, and let inhales naturally become exhales. Where one breath ends, another begins. Just like the ocean, the breath is continuous, never ending. This is the breath that we'd like to maintain throughout our practice and throughout your life. So if you lose this breath, or you lose your ability to have a nice controlled breath, come back to Shavasana and come back to this balanced, equal breath. On your next inhale, stretch your arms long above you. Reach them all the way back. And have the arms be supported by the hammock. So stretch the hammock all the way up to the fingertips. So you're still being supported from fingertips down all the way to the heel. If you'd like to interlace the grip, you can. Either keep the palms together, interlace the grip, and start to tick-tock left to right, bringing the hips to one side and the legs and arms to the opposite side, just moving side to side in this crescent or banana shape. This is Konasana, just opening up the side body. And after you've moved a couple times to each side, inhale back into center, get really tall, and on your exhale, hips to the left, upper body and legs to the right, finding this crescent moon shape or banana shape and taking a few breaths here. The breath is long and slow. The hips are planted to the hammock and the shoulders are squared off to the floor. Keep the shoulders planted in the hammock as well. And take 2 more breaths, breathing down the left side of the body, down the IT band, all the way down the leg to the heel. Breathe into the side body, into the hip. And on your next inhale, stretch back tall and back into the center. Get even taller. Take 1 more breath in. Inhale, the tallest person in the room. And exhale, feet and arms to the left, hips to the right. Taking a breath down the entire right side, right into the hip, down the side of the leg, all the way up into the rib cage, into the shoulder. Keep breathing here. Breathing down the right side body. Planting the right shoulder back into the hammock. Hips are squared off to the floor. Take 1 more breath. Inhale. And on your exhale, come back into center. If you'd like to tick-tock a few more times side to side at your own pace, feel free. And at some point, come back to stillness. Allow the body to be suspended, to be held right here, and notice how it feels to be present right here. Release the hands and reach up for the fabric. Grab onto the fabric and turn yourself onto your right side. Belly facing to the side, left hip stacked over top of the right, shoulders stacked, and you can see you still want to have your fabric supporting your arms, so if it's not, you might need to scoot down toward the toes or just reach and grip the fabric up toward the fingertips. I've got 2 positions we're going to move from here. On your exhale, squeeze your knees in towards your forehead. Squeeze all the breath out, a little cannonball shape. On your in-breath, stretch it open. Stretch the arms and legs back, big breath into the belly. As you exhale, squeeze it out. All the breath is leaving the body. And on your inhale, big and strong, belly forward, arms and legs back. Exhale, squeeze it out, getting every last drop of breath out, squeezing the knees in toward the forehead. Coming in 2 more times. Inhale to open up, stretch the belly, stretch the legs all the way back, nice and strong. Exhale, squeeze it in, itty bitty little ball. Last time, inhale, open up, stay here and take a couple breaths in this position. Arms and legs back, belly getting a nice stretch. Stretch across the front of the legs. 1 more breath. See if the arms and legs can go back even a little further. And as you exhale, squeeze it in. The tiniest little ball that you've been in all day. Engage the core so much so that you could squeeze the knees right to the forehead. And then relax here. Allow the body to be completely relaxed. Relax the hips, the legs, and the arms. Allow the body to be heavy. And notice how it feels to be here, suspended, supported, as you breathe. 1 more breath. And on your inhale, reach up for the fabric and slowly roll yourself back to your back. Reach up for the fabric and turn yourself onto your left side. The right hip is stacked over top of the left. Arms and legs stretch really long, and on your exhale, squeeze all the breath out. Bring the knees into the forehead. Get into the tiny little ball that you can get into. And on the inhale, big and strong, arms and legs back behind you like they're gonna reach behind and touch. As you exhale, squeeze it in, tiny bit of little ball, all the breath out. Inhale, open up big and strong, arms and legs charge back behind you. And exhale, squeeze it, all the breath coming out of the body. Last two, inhale, open up, arms and legs charge back, big stretch to the belly. Exhale, squeeze it out, get all the breath. When you think you're done, squeeze a little more. And inhale, last time, open up. You might even bend the knees and reach the legs back even further. Reach the arms back. Eventually, you might reach back and grab the toes. One more breath. And exhale, squeeze it in. The tiniest little ball that you can get into. Squeeze all the breath. And when you think you're done, squeeze a little more. And then relax. Relax the body completely. Allow the legs, arms, and hips to be very heavy, to be completely relaxed. Taking time to notice in the stillness how sweet it is to be alive. One more breath. Open up, stretch out, and reach up. Turn yourself back to your back. Take a breath here and just notice what's happened in the body. Notice what's happened in the mind as you reach up for the fabric and slowly sit up. Let the toes hang out. Let the whole leg come out, and then the feet plant to the floor. All the way up. Standing up. Then you're going to come behind your hammock, so go ahead and turn yourself around, face to the front. Hammock's going to be right in front of you. And you want to get your right leg into the center of the hammock, so most likely you're going to have to step a little to the left. As you do that, right leg is right in line with the center of the hammock. Right leg comes up and over. Inhale, and as you exhale, drive your hips forward. We're coming into Reindeer Pose. Breathing here. Being very strong in the back leg. We're here for a full 60 seconds. Being a little stronger here. Very good, and pushing back to the back heel. See if you can sink your hips in a little more. Very strong external rotation in this front thigh bone. You're going to plant the ball of the foot to the floor. Very good. Squeeze in the belly in. If you've been working this one for a little while, you might find a little different transition or a little different variation. Feel free to stay right here where you are, or you might reach and start to bring the hands a little bit away from the hammock, finding a little bit of balance. Squeezing the belly in. Another variation is just to stretch the arms up the fabric and reach up. Give a little squeeze with the hands and taking a little back bend. Pushing through the back of the head, squeezing the belly, sternum up toward the chin, taking 1 to 2 more breaths here. Inhale and exhale. On your next inhale, come back into center. Squeeze the ankles toward each other and rise to standing. Right leg comes up and out. Take it out, shake it out, let it go. And then recenter yourself. So we have the right leg centered in the hammock. Now move a little to the right, and the left foot is right in the center of the hammock. Left leg picks up over top. Take it just behind the knee, and if you want to have this to be less intense, you could spread the fabric open for the over top of the thigh. So you could spread the fabric like this for less intensity, but for more stretch, more intensity, take it down toward the knee. You feel free to do what you'd like to do. Kara's probably going to take it down closer to the knee. Go ahead and drop forward as you're ready, and then come back to the breath. You're going to plant the front ball of the foot on the floor, and be very strong in the back leg. I think you could take a little longer stride. There you go. Breathe in here, very strong in the back leg, squeeze in the belly, and sinking into this front hip here, yep. A little further over here, a little more external rotation in the thigh. A little stronger in the back leg, keep breathing, pushing through that heel. Breathing, hip points are slightly lifted. Squeezing in the belly. If you worked on any different variations on the other side, you want to make sure you repeat them in this side, but you could stay right where you are. Strong external rotation in the front thigh bone, so rotating the thigh to the outside. Breathing here. We're about halfway done. Couple more breaths. Inhale and exhale. On your next inhale, inhale back into center. Squeeze the legs together and take the left leg out. Shake it out, let it go. The next two poses will be the same. If you like to take a little hula hoop or figure eight in between the poses, it can feel really nice on the hips. Feel free not to do this one if you feel too silly. And then we'll come back in, realign the right leg with the center, so that means we just move over to the left a little bit. Right leg comes up and over top of the fabric, just behind the knee, or you can spread the fabric open for more comfort. Inhale, and on your exhale, drive your hips forward, and this time you're going to ground the back heel to the floor. So the back heel is parallel to the back of the mat, or the heel is furthest thing away. Breathing here, right arm comes through the fabric, left arm comes back behind. We have warrior two for just a moment. Sink in a little more if you can, Kara, there you go. And then right arm comes down to meet with the upper body, comes down with the lower body. We're in bent knee triangle. Stronger in the back leg, external rotation of both thigh bones, sinking in. See if you can sink in here just a little more, there you go. Breathing in. If it's comfortable on the neck, you can look up with the top fingertips. Breathing here. You've got your triangle. You could stay here for the rest of the time. If you've been working this for a little while and you'd like to try something a little different, you could bind the arm underneath of the body. Left arm reaches back behind, right arm reaches underneath of the thigh. Working this. And the fabric is right here, so if you can't quite get it, you could use this as a little strap. You could use the handle if you're close. Taking 1 to 2 more breaths here. If you're bound, unbind, come back into triangle pose. Left arm up to the sky, right fingertips stretching to the floor. Left arm reaches up, right arm reaches up. Pivot and turn on the back foot, so you're back onto the ball of the foot. And then squeeze the ankles together. Take the right foot down to the ankle. And this is an optional transition. Please feel free to skip this one. But with the fabric at the ankle, arms nice and long, lean back, stretch forward, and take the left ankle to the fabric and take the right ankle out. And if you miss that, just go ahead and take the left leg right over top of the fabric. Take it behind the knee and get ready for your other side. Inhale, and as you exhale, drive it forward, coming in for reindeer for a moment, and then we'll ground the back heel to the floor. Checking in that the foot is parallel, so either the heel is away, put the heel away a little bit more. Other way, that's it, good. Breathe in here, coming in, warrior two for just a moment, and then upper body comes down to meet with the lower body. Left fingertips reaching down to the floor, a little stronger external rotation here, and we can move this over a little more. And you're flointing through the bottom foot. That left foot is like a Barbie foot. Imagine you're pushing through the ball mound, but you're flexing the toes back towards your face. So gas pedal to the metal on that bottom foot. Really grounding through the outside ankle of the right foot, the pinky toe spreading and gripping to the floor. Lifting from the inner arches and giving a little squeeze together with the legs. Keep breathing. If you took the bind on the other side, externally rotate the arms, the arm bone of the right leg, or the right arm, left arm internally rotates, reach the left arm underneath the body, right arm reaches right behind. A little further here, huh? I think this one's a little not quite long enough. There we go. You don't have to bind. It's not going to take you any closer to enlightenment today. But it can feel really nice if it's accessible. Taking just one more breath here. Inhale. If you've found the bind, unbind. Begin to unwind. Right arm reaches up for the fabric. Grab the fabric. Left arm reaches up to grab the fabric. Pivot and turn. You're back on the ball of the foot in the back. Squeeze the ankles together. Rise up. Take the left ankle out. And if you'd like to take another little hula hoop, sometimes a figure eight can be even better. So figure eight with the hips or hula with the hips. I like to do it with the hammock. Coming in a little forward fold in between. You feel free to do what you like to do in between. We're coming into the last pose at the knee. Bring the right leg back into the center line, right leg up over on top of the fabric, and at any point, you might, at this third pose, you might decide it's a little too intense. I'm going to spread the fabric down my thigh, and that's going to help with the pose a little bit, but it's up to you. Inhale, and on your exhale, drive it forward. Hips facing forward for just a moment, so we find our reindeer transition. Then ground the left heel to the floor, breathing here. Coming in for warrior two for just a moment. And we're coming in for extended side angle. Right arm reaches down toward the floor and the left arm reaches up and over the body. Squeeze in here, being a little stronger here. Hip points lifted slightly, and see if you can sink into the whole thing a little more. That's it. Nice here. Breathe. Reaching the left fingertips all the way to the mirror, and rolling the left shoulder open, breathing here. Very strong in the back leg. Pushing harder and stronger with the left pinky toe to drive yourself forward. Imagine that you're going to slide forward even though you know eventually you'll stop. Fingertips are reaching forward toward the mirror. Roll the left shoulder open and breathe into the rib cage. Just a couple more breaths here. Soften the gaze. Relax the eyes. Both legs are external rotated, so rotate them out if they're not already. Last breath here. Inhale to reach the left fingertips up to the fabric. Pivot and turn, the right arm reaches up. Pivot and turn on the back leg. Squeeze the ankles together and rise up. I'm going to take a little optional transition, taking the right leg into the ankle with the fabric. I'm going to grab onto the handle, and you're going to pivot and turn to the left, quarter turn. After you've made that quarter turn, another quarter turn, you'll be facing all the way back to your back wall. Coming down into a lunge, so bend in this front knee all the way in, runner's lunge here, both palms to the floor. You'll come down, let your left knee to the floor. This is our variation of cat-cow. It's a mixture of cat, cow, and pigeon. We call it the cat-cow pigeon. On your inhale, you're going to arch your back. Your hips fall back behind you. Big breath. As you exhale, round the spine, looking toward the belly and pushing down into the right leg. Got 4 more. Inhale, letting the hips come back, letting the back arch. As you exhale, round the spine, suck your belly button up into your back. Inhale, arching the back, dropping the belly. Coming in 2 more. Exhale, round the spine. Getting a little stronger, you might start to lift the bottom knee off the floor, really rounding into the spine, releasing on an inhale, arching the back. Last time, exhale, strong palms, strong shoulders, round in the spine, and coming back down. Pushing the hips back, taking a little stretch here in our pigeon pose. If you want to come down onto the elbows and forearms, please feel free. Taking a couple breaths. Being interested in the back leg. That same flank that we talked about before, Barbie foot. Barbie foot in the back leg. And what Barbie foot does is it engages our internal adductors as well as part of our quads, and it integrates the thigh compartment with the rest of our core, making you even stronger. One more breath here, slowly rising up onto the hands. We're going to take a little plank pose, so make sure shoulders are over top of the wrist, shoulders are strong, spread the fingers like a starfish on a rock, push into the finger pads, lift up the inner arch of the hand, coming into plank pose. Left leg in, take a breath here, or right away take the right ankle out, and we'll release the right knee to the floor when you're ready. Please feel free to take a little longer there if you like. We're back on our cat-cow pigeon. Other side, we got about 5 on this side. On the inhale, you arch your back nice and strong, pushing through the back of the head, the occiput. And as you exhale, look towards your belly, push down into the left leg. You're driving your left leg down like it's gonna hit the floor, even though you know it's not going to. Inhale, belly comes back, hips flow back, big breath. Exhale, round the spine, and you can start showing the other variations, Kara. You can pick up the knee. You can come all the way up, kind of a rounded handstand, and keep moving. Wherever you are, we're flowing through this. On the exhale, you round your spine. On the inhale, you arch the back. Keep breathing with the rhythm of your own breath. We should have about 2 more. Inhale and exhale. Last one. Inhale and exhale. You might kick that top leg all the way up to the sky before releasing it back down to the floor. Nice sneaky core work there. Releasing the knee to the floor. And now if you want to come back down onto elbows and forearms, let the hips come all the way back. Big stretch in the back leg, big stretch in the hip flexors and the quads of the back leg. And same thing, we're finding that Barbie foot, or that, I like to call it the floint. So you're pointing your foot, but you're flexing your toes. Couple breaths here. Soften the jaw and relax the eye gaze. Notice what you feel in this moment. Notice the sensation and embrace it. Be completely with your body right now. Last breath here. Before slowly coming back up onto the palms. Step the right foot forward into lunge. Take a moment to make sure you're nice and steady, nice and strong. And if you like your handle, you can bend the back knee and reach behind and grab a handle. I think you probably want the other one because you're going this way. There you go. Left handle. And then you're going to push into that bottom leg, come up halfway, stand up all the way, quarter turn, and that's our transition to come back to the other side. So this is the very last pose on the knee, the left side. Take it to the knee, and you're probably going to hop yourself over so the left leg is right in the center of the hammock, or scoot over some other way. Take a big breath in, inhale, and exhale, drive the hips forward. Last reindeer pose. Checking in on your reindeer. You can already put that foot over a little bit further. Left leg tends to fall into the midline, so you're going to walk it over a couple inches. And ground the back heel to the floor. Coming in, warrior two, Virabhadrasana 2. Spreading the toes, left arm reaches forward, right arm reaches back. And then bring the upper body down to meet with the lower body. The left arm either sets on the thigh or it reaches down toward the floor, depending on your flexibility. You're going to roll the right shoulder open, so open up through the rib cage, open up, and then sink into this right hip. Breathe in here, you okay? Keep breathing, rolling, stretching. Really strong in the back, and now the right pinky toe, spreading and reaching. We're already halfway done with the pose. Hip points are slightly lifted, lower belly bringing in the floating ribs. And that right arm is a natural extension of the rest of the body. We could lay a protractor down here and we would get a 45-degree angle. So everything's reaching, breathing. Last one breath, inhale and exhale, softening the face. The right arm reaches up to grab the fabric. Left arm reaches to grab the fabric. Pivot and turn onto the ball of the back leg. And as you exhale, squeeze the legs together. Left leg comes up and out. Take it out. Let it go. Coming down to the knees, all the way down. And take your knees about hip width apart. Your fabric is going to sit at your wrists. So you don't want to have it up at your elbows. You don't want to have it down at your hands. And you can neatly put the fabric all together so it stays together. And you have your hands shoulder width apart. Take your thumbs down toward the floor. Take your thumbs up back toward your face. And then turn your hands away from you to grab the fabric. And I'll do that one more time in case you didn't get it. Palms face down, thumbs down, back toward the heart, and turn the hands around to grab the fabric. Make sure it's nice and even. You don't have one up higher than the other. And then you're going to keep your hips right where they are. Take a big inhale. And as you exhale, coming forward into heart melting pose. If this is too intense of a shoulder opener, you can drop the hips back to the heels here and breathe here. We're going to full 60 seconds in this pose. Find your breath and breathe. Elbows being soft is going to take a little intensity out of this shoulder stretch. Taking the hips back onto the heels is going to take out a lot of intensity. At any time, if you get numbness, tingling, or electrifying sensation, that's a good indication to come out early. Breathe behind the shoulder blades. Breathe into the back of the heart. Breathe down the side of the arms. Breathe into the chest. Opening, breathing. Relax the organs. Soften the belly. We're here for 3 more breaths. Inhale and exhale. If you want more intensity with the heart melting, you just straighten your arms, really drive your hands forward. That's going to make it a lot more intense. Come in here, one more breath. Toward the end of the pose, drop the head down, get a little stretch on the neck, and then we'll slowly drop the hips back toward the heels. Unwrap the wrists. And take a moment here. Close your eyes. and take a moment of stillness before moving forward, going anywhere, to notice the effect of the pose. Notice how it feels after we've stretched the shoulders. Grab onto the fabric, come up high onto the knees, step your left foot forward. We're in a runner's lunge, and then tuck the toe in the back, rising upward all the way up to a stand. Grabbing the fabric, we're going to take our first downward dog of the series. So with downward dog, you got to find it into the right place, which is usually down toward the thighs. It tends to ride up higher and higher, so once you get in there, we'll show you how to get it all set in place. So grab it onto the thighs and walk yourself forward until you can't walk forward anymore. And then release yourself down toward the floor. Palms to the floor, and walk your feet back behind you. Take a couple breaths here. Elongate the spine. If you're like us, your mats are sliding all over the place, so just be careful and be mindful. If the mat becomes too much of an issue, move it out of the way, especially for downward dog. It can slide all over the place. Everything you know about downward dog is pretty much the same. You got a little support by the hammock helping you traction, but ground into the hands. Spread the fingers. Push into the finger pads. I think you could walk forward a little bit more. There you go. Push into the finger pads, and with that strength, drive your hips back with the power of your arms. Arms are externally rotated. Push it into the palms a little more. Shake the head no a few times. Nod the head yes. And then we're going to take a set of 3 lion's breath. Take a big breath into the nose. Open up the mouth, stick out the tongue, and 2 more just like that. Big breath in. Let it all go. Last time, inhale. And exhale. And when you're done with your downward facing dog, you start to walk forward like a puppy dog or kitty cat until you can't walk forward anymore. Walk, walk, walk. Walk your feet forward until they're really far forward, and you can see that the fabric catches you at the hips. At that point, push into the hips and bring the upper body up like a crane. Slowly come back into neutral position. Walking back. And then you'll come back onto the knees for a second double wrist strap. From the knees, the same wrist strap that we did before. Hands are shoulder width apart. Palms face down. Bring your palms towards your heart. Turn your hands around and grab onto the fabric. This time, you can walk your feet around or scoot them forward, bringing them forward to work on our upper body strengthening series. You got several options here. You could bring one leg in and push into that leg, squeeze the elbows in, and do a little bicep lunge lift. Or both legs could be out in front of you and picking up your hips this way, squeezing the elbows into midline. Or you've got the option of the rock star. Both legs could be out in front of you, bringing it up. Other versions of the rock star would be to bring one leg in and do it this way. Or to bring both legs in for lotus, if you lotus. Kerry gets in there a little easier than I do. And you can pull that whole unit up. You decide what you're going to do. Okay, and we're going to do about 5 on each side if you're using the legs. So go ahead and if you could do the beginner one, that would be great. So bring in the right leg in, and on your inhale, you lift up. On your exhale, bring down. And you're using the upper body a little more than the leg. The leg is there to help you. It's a little handicap in case you can't pick yourself up all the way. So you do about 5 on each side. So once you've done 5 on one side, switch it out and do it on the other side. If you've decided this is just way too easy for me, we're going to do the other version as well. 5 on each side. You've also got the option of having both legs out. She'll show you one of those again. Picking the hips up. And of course we have the option of any version of the rock star. So your choice. You want to do one more rock star form? That would be awesome. Very good. Integrating the legs. So the more that you can integrate that floint into, especially into this position, it's going to help integrate the whole leg into the core. After you're done, keep the arms wrapped. Let the head come back if that's comfortable on the neck. You want to be a little bit stronger here. You can pick your hips up, slide the arm bones back, lift the chest up, and coming in for Matsyasana, or fish pose. You could stay here for a few breaths, but as soon as you're done, you're gonna lie down onto your back and unwrap your wrists. Make sure that your legs and your hips come down before your head. Unwrap your wrist and then slide on back into Shavasana. Allow the eyes to close and take a moment to notice how alive you are. Notice the heat in the body. Notice the power and the strength of the breath. Just notice everything about this moment. Taking one more big deep breath into the belly and exhaling completely. On your next inhale, stretch your arms up above your head. On your exhale, sit up, reach up, grab for the fabric. As you grab your fabric, you're gonna stand up and walk back as you stand up. Coming in for our second downward facing dog. So same setup, take the fabric into the thighs, walk yourself forward all the way until you can't walk forward anymore. And then reach the upper body down toward the floor. Coming in for downward dog. Once your hands are on the floor, walk your feet back. Keep the spine nice in traction. I think you could be forward a little more, Kara. There you go. Taking a couple breaths here. In and out through the nose. Finding a nice strong dog. Spreading the fingers, pushing into the finger pads. Slide the arm bones back to press the shoulder blades and then really push into the arm bones. Really push into the fingers. Drive the hips back. Once you've found your nice strong dog, we'll take three-legged dog. So pick the right leg up first. Take a couple breaths here. Push the hips back with the hands. After you lift that up, there you go. You can push into here a little more. That's it. You're gonna bend the knee, kick it way out to the side, right leg out to the side, and wrap your ankle in. And we'll just show you that one more time. So taking the ankle out, if you kick it way out to the side, bend your knee and bring it into the fabric. So you come out and around, and you can wrap it in there. Stretch the right leg up as high up the fabric as you feel comfortable. And take a couple breaths here. Really strong downward facing dog. Spread through the fingers, push into the finger pads, come back to the breath. If this feels okay, you want to go a little further, standing split. Left foot steps forward into the center line, a little forward toward your face, and then you walk your hands in toward your toes. That top leg is really strong, so really flointing through this top leg, integrating a whole top leg. It's going to want to flare open. You're going to square the hip back off toward the floor. Taking a couple breaths here. As you're feeling really balanced, you might take and reach the hands behind the back of the heel. At any point, you're bringing the hands back down to the floor. Once you've found your intensity and that's been enough, walk the hands back out. Step the left leg back and unwrap your right leg. Coming back in, find downward facing dog again. Find a good dog, which usually means you gotta walk your hands a little further forward to get a little traction from the hammock. And then left leg lifts off, right behind you, right level with the hips. So square it off first. Breathe in here, pushing through the floint. Taking a couple breaths here, pushing through the arm bones. You're gonna tend to fall into one side. You wanna square the shoulders back off and push back into the palms. Bend the knee, reach the left leg way out to the left and wrap it around. If you didn't get it, take a couple times and wrap the leg. You go out and around. Taking a couple breaths here. If you feel good and you wanna go further, left leg stretches up as high as it can go. And then the right leg steps into the center line, more toward the face. You walk your hands in toward the toes, and very strong with that top leg, flointing the top foot, breathing here. Nice long spine. Keep breathing. Spreading the toes and the bottom foot, grounding through the big toe. One more breath. Exhale, slowly start to let it go. Walking the hands forward, unwrapping the left leg. And then you're gonna come back into neutral position. So that means that's the place where you would hang naturally. So come back in all the way into the center. And we're gonna set up for an optional transition. You feel free to skip this one. But you're gonna reach your hands up for the fabric. Not for the handles, but for the actual fabric part. And the thumbs are going to be on the outside. So just like Kara's got here, and you can see her fingers are on the inside of the fabric, the thumbs are on the outside, and she's going to slowly start to bring her heels in towards her buttocks and her head in towards her knees. This is the setup. Once you get into this position, you're going to give yourself just a little momentum and roll it around, forward somersault or forward flip. Now we're going to be back down onto the knees. If you've been working this transition for a while, you're going to work on really engaging your core. Skip the transition from the feet and go straight to the knees. Taking our wrist wrap, last wrist wrap, palms face down, thumbs up, and then turn the hands around and grab onto the fabric. From here, you could take a second set with the feet back onto the heels. You could take a second set of your heart melting. If that felt okay and you want to take this a little further, take about 6 inches or so behind you on the knees, so take a couple steps back on the knees. Take a big breath in, slide the arm bones back to press the shoulder blades, get strong in the shoulders, and as you exhale, release your thighs down, release your belly to the floor. We're in Bhujangasana. Toes are spread in the back, legs are internally rotated, arms are in the sockets, arms are stretching forward. Breathing here. If this becomes too intense, at any point you come back out and you rest. Otherwise, we're here for about 30 more seconds, finding the rhythm of your own breath. Big stretch across the shoulders. Big heart opener. Breathe down the side of the arms. Breathe behind the heart. Breathe around the heart. Stay strong in the back legs and bring in the lower belly. Bringing the hips slightly up toward the chest. Couple more breaths here. Inhale and exhale. Check out your face. Relax the face, the jaw. One more breath. Inhale. And as you exhale, engage your arms and bring your hips back towards your heels. Unwrap the wrists. And we'll slowly step up. This time, grab onto the fabric, come up onto the knees. Right leg steps forward. Tuck the toes in the back, rise up. Last downward facing dog, flying dog. So find yourself, this is the one you want to really make sure that you're as comfortable as you possibly can be. So more down onto the thighs, less on the belly. Belly's not so comfortable. Come on down into your downward dog. Palms reach to the floor. And if this downward dog, if your feet never touch the floor, that's okay. We're going to slowly, once you've got your hammock set up, you can push the fabric down towards your thighs if it's not already there. You're going to pick your toes up. And you don't have to pick them up much, just a little off the floor. You're starting to tread the waters and test to see, is this the right position on my hips? It should be tolerable. There's going to be some pressure, no doubt. But it should be a tolerable pressure at the hips. And at this point, you can take your legs maybe a little wider and start to walk forward and backward on the hands. This is more of an exploration exercise than it is a particular pose or position. And you can start to slide back and forth. You can see Kara here is really comfortable with the flying dog, and as you get more and more comfortable, you can get more and more courageous with it. As you come in and you take your legs up, you want to make sure your legs stay wide. You also want to make sure your legs stay heavy. And you can see as she walks herself back, she starts to come into a bit of a handstand. At some point, if she walked her hands back even further than that, at some point she's going to go over. And if you do decide to get that courageous and work that, you got to keep your legs really heavy and really wide. That's going to keep you in the fabric. But work at your own pace. Walk yourself forward, maybe show them the windshield wiper further in, a little more in neutral. My favorite little positions here is the windshield wiper where the hands stay planted to the fabric and the legs come side to side. You might even touch the toes all the way up to the top of the mat if you've got flexibility. And just a little bit of fun, a little bit of play here. Our flying dog. At any point you can come out of this one. This is not necessary. We'll come back into neutral position, and as we are ready to come out of this, we're going to take last optional transition. Go ahead and grab onto the handles here. Grab onto them, and then strengthen your legs. Start to lift the legs up a little higher. Charge your arms forward using the strength of the arms and the strength of the spine. She is lifting her upper body up using the balance of her spine. Last breath here. bringing the toes to the floor and walking yourself forward for the skiing man. It's our way of getting out of flying dog. Come on back into neutral position. Setting up for our first inversion. Our first inversion is going to be flying cobbler pose. So our fabric is actually in a really good position. We're ready to go. What you want to do is you got to make sure the fabric is all neat. Hers is all nice and neat, but you don't want it all spread open. You don't want it like a hammock at the moment. You want to have it like a band or like a sling. So sling it together all into one position. And then you're going to take, let's do the left side first so that we can show them. Left foot in, and you can see the sole of her foot is facing to the opposite side. Her knee is on the back end, and I'll show you that again as we get into the other side. You're going to grab onto the fabric, use the power of your arms to pick yourself up with your core, and then match up toes to toes, heels to heels. And you can see here, her knees come out the back end, and then one at a time, arms are going to come up and through. There you go. And the other arm up and through. Now we are in our flying cobbler pose. If this is any pain on the knees, you come out immediately. Too much on the ankles, you come out. If it gets to be uncomfortable, come out. Otherwise, take a couple breaths here. This is the flying cobbler or Unnata Baddha Konasana. If you like this and want to go a little further, grab your handles. Grab your handles around just below the knot or so. It might need to go a little few more inches below that. And if you feel good here, arms stretch forward. This is the dragon pose or flying dragon. You can see the fabric's going to usually come off the hips a little bit, so let it come down to the thighs. You're not going anywhere. And arms charge forward. Really big shoulder stretch here. So if this is too much, just back out. Back out a little bit, and then you're going to dive down into bat right from here. I like to back out a quarter from flying dragon before going to bat. It's a little easier on my shoulders. And you can see here that she's supported just like she was in Baddha Konasana, but now we're hanging. So you could stay here for quite a while. We'll stay here for just a few breaths. If this becomes intense on the knees, intense on the ankles, it's time to come up. But I find this to be a really great pose if my hips and my knees are up for it, a really great pose for my neck. When you do decide that you're ready to come back up, which could be at any time, you could pause the video and stay here a while. Use the hammock and grab a hold of the handles. You're going to squeeze your elbows into the midline and push down into the hands. Once you get here, you're going to take one arm back behind you at a time and make sure your thumbs are on the inside, fingers on the outside at this moment, so you have a nice strong grip. Pull up, and you can either step forward or step back, either one. That's a flying cobbler and the bat and the dragon. Now it's time to go up a little higher, so we're going to set up for inversion height. You're going to set yourself up to where the fabric is just about at the hip points, maybe a little bit lower, and we're going to work a couple different inversions. All right, so we have just brought our hammocks up a little higher, and you can see that the fabric is now right at Kara's hip points. So that's a really good indicator. If you've got a really long torso, you might have to go up a little higher, or if you've got really short legs, you might have to come down a little lower. So you're gonna set yourself up now into what we call the diaper wrap. And I like to do this one with the fabric doubled over. So find the two edges. And you can skip this part if you've done this for a little while, but I find it to be a little easier for beginners, is grab the two edges and put them together. So the fabric is essentially folded in half, and then grab those edges, and you're going to take the edges and you're going to put them right on the edge of your butt. So right where your butt becomes your leg is where you want that fabric to stop. And then you're going to take a seat in the fabric. If it's up too high, go ahead and bring the hammock back down, and you can practice this whole position way, way lower as well. And you notice how the fabric is not supporting Kara down her thigh, so it actually stops where her butt meets her leg, and that's going to give you a lot more mobility to get into this position. And also notice how Kara has pushed the fabric off of her back, because the fabric coming and riding up the back tends to pinch and tends to be a little painful. From here, we're going to practice this 3 times. So the first time, all you're going to do is lean back and take your legs very wide, and then come back up. This time, legs wide again, lean back a little more, all the way back up. And this time as we go for it, we're going all the way in. Lean back, legs wide, and then wrap your legs in, bend your knees. You can bring them in. So you can see here, she's got the fabric right in front, or her legs right in front of the fabric. And go ahead and come back up, Kara. We're going to work and show them the other wrap. Good. So that was the diaper wrap, and the diaper wrap is really great for beginners because as you sit back up, you're still supported, but it doesn't give it quite as much mobility for some of the poses that I really like to do. So we're gonna work the cross-back straddle, and if you could turn to the side, Kara, so you could, other side, that way you can see. You can see the fabric is banded together, and it's actually at the top of her buttocks, almost to her low back, but it's just below the low back, and it's not underneath of her butt. You do not wanna do this underneath the butt like this. This can be dangerous for the fabric, or for the wrap, so you want to have it at the top of the butt because your butt should break. So at the top of the buttocks, and you can go ahead and square yourself back off. The same position that we did before. You have to lean back, your legs go very wide, and the wrap is exactly the same. So once you lean back, you can take your hands out and wrap your legs in. Coming in, giving her a little stillness, you can reach your hands down to the floor and stop yourself. Bring the hands into heart center. The soles of the feet together. We're in an upside down Baddha Konasana. This is self-healing pose. You could take a couple breaths here, having the hands at the heart. The hands connect the chakras of the hands, the chakras of the heart, and the chakras in the feet, providing a healing circuit of energy in the body. Taking about 3 more breaths here in self-healing pose. Allow the head to be very heavy, to be completely relaxed. And then reach up for the fabric and grab a hold of the handles or onto the hammock. And you're going to take your right leg way out to the side. Keep it heavy. And the left leg way out to the side. Keep it heavy. If you feel comfortable here, you can relax the hands again. What you don't want to do is push into the floor at this point. As you come in here, you're going to keep a little engagement at the lower belly. So bringing in the lower belly and also bringing the hips up toward the chest a little bit. Let the head hang heavy and let your legs be as long and heavy as possible. This is butterfly pose. Butterfly pose is a really great opening for the body and really great traction for the spine. So coming back in here, you can roll the head to the left and to the right to make sure it's completely relaxed. And taking about 3 to 5 more breaths and butterfly pose. Remember that everybody has a very different tolerance for being upside down. So if at some point you feel like there's too much pressure in your head, in your face, or in your eyes, or you start to feel weird or dizzy, or like you got a headache, those are all really good indicators that maybe you've been up a little too long. So at any point, wrap your legs back in. We're going to wrap the legs back in. And if you wanted to take a break, come back up and take a couple breaths. Stay down, Kara. We're going to go back into the next position. You can come up, take a break, pause the video, and join back in at any point. We're going to continue going into the inversions. So your legs are back, wrapped into the front, just like we started, and you can see here that she's wrapped in the back end. We're going to start the pose exactly the same. Right leg reaches way out to the side. This is the Irish inversion, or AKA half butterfly. From here, she's going to keep her leg very heavy, very long, and drop it all the way back behind you into Pigeon Pose. You can see here, she's getting a nice stretch on the top of the quad and the hip flexors. You combine the hands at the low back and interlace the grip. And from that grip, you might bend the knee and see if you can hook the toes inside of that. If you can't get the foot, it's okay. You can just keep breathing, keep opening. If you've got even more range of motion to work with, you might start working the mermaid pose, working the foot toward the head if you've got a lot of back flexibility. Taking a couple more breaths here. Breathing into the top of the right leg, opening up into the quads and hip flexors. Taking a few breaths. Relaxing the head, softening the jaw. And we'll take just one more breath here. When you go to release, release the hands first. Extend the leg long, so make it really strong, and then slowly bring it back out to the side, and then wrap it back in. We're always going to do that in the same way. Always way out to the side, always heavy with the leg, and then back in. Same thing with the left. Left way out to the side, Irish inversion for just a moment, just a little transition, and then slowly dropping the leg back behind you. And if any point during these transitions you feel uncomfortable or uneasy, you can reach up and grab a hold of the handles or grab a hold of the hammock and just give yourself a little more security. From here, this left leg stays long and extended at first, getting a nice stretch in it, getting the whole weight of the leg into the pose. And then after you've been here for a couple breaths, you might bend this knee, interlace the hands at the low back, and then drop the foot inside. Breathe in there. If you do get the foot inside here, kick it away. What we're doing here is we're connecting the foot to the hand so that we can open up the chest and make this backward bend happen in the thoracic. Let the head hang heavy. Couple more breaths here. If you're working that foot to head variation, really bring the heel in toward the buttocks. Make sure the quad is completely stretched and warm, and then you can start to bring head in toward the foot and foot in toward the head. We're here just a couple more breaths, breathing into the top of the quad, breathing in, that's it. Releasing, letting the leg become very heavy. One more breath, big breath into the belly. Let go completely. And then slowly reach up for the fabric. Take the left leg way out to the side and then bring it back in. Wrap both toes back in, and you're going to slowly start to sit back up. Bringing your nose up towards your knees, grab the fabric, and one leg unwraps at a time. Here we go. One leg unwraps, and then you slowly start to sit up. Once you get to this point, take the fabric underneath the armpits and hang low. Okay, your blood pressure can really become unstable for a few seconds as you come back up. So we come into this position. This is the shoulder hang, and the shoulder hang allows your blood pressure to re-regulate and make sure you're not going to keel over. Excellent. All right, now that we've done our inversion and our full practice, it's that time for the best pose that we have, which is Shavasana. So spread the fabric, fluff the fabric again, make sure it's not folded in half so you're not working too hard to get inside. If you got to bring it down lower, you're welcome to. And then stretch yourself all the way back inside. This is the pose we started in, the one we worked so hard to get to. Take your time to snuggle yourself inside. I've been asked many times, what do I do with my arms? What do I do with my shoulders? If you slide the arm bones back to press the shoulder blades down the back and lift the sternum slightly, the hammock will hold you in that position, giving yourself a little more space in the upper body. If you've got lower back history, you can come into Baddha Konasana with the legs, the soles of the feet together, knees fall out, but you're welcome to have the legs extended forward as well. And anytime, if we say Shavasana and it's uncomfortable for you, you're welcome to take a variation. But I really recommend never skipping Shavasana. This is the pose where all the stuff that you've learned takes effect. This is where the body knows what to do with all the things we just did. Settling in, relaxing the body completely, relaxing the face, relaxing the legs, and checking the whole body, checking to see if there's any part of the body that is not completely relaxed. Taking a deep inhale, and on the exhale, encourage that part of the body to relax completely. Take one more big deep breath into the belly. And as you exhale, let go of any tension. And let go of all of the poses we've done today. Allow yourself to just be here. Or take a few moments in stillness and in quiet. I will let you know when the time is up. Just at an hour, so if that's all the time you've got to dedicate to your practice, time is up. If you've got a little more time, I recommend staying here as long as you can. Otherwise, turn yourself over onto your side into fetal position. And relaxing here. Noticing how sweet it is to be completely relaxed. When the time is right, use the arms, the upper body, to slowly make your way to seated. This is Kerry Tice with Circus Soul Yoga. Thank you very much for joining us for your practice today. Namaste. All right, Kara and I are here for some extra bonus materials. I'm going to teach you how to do a few things that we didn't have time for in the movie. Kara's setting up. She's going to do cross back straddle. You're welcome to do this with a diaper wrap or a super diaper, but fabric across the top of the buttocks, holding on to the fabric, and you're going to take your legs really wide as you lean back and wrap your legs in. You take your hands off. Wrap your legs in from butterfly and stretch your legs up as high as you can. From here, we got a couple poses that we can do. If you walk your fingertips forward into the front of the mat and maybe even off the mat, let your hips fall back. This is the big cat stretch or the extended stretch. Taking a couple breaths here, breathing into the shoulders and getting a really nice stretch across the belly. One of the other really fun poses that we can work from our inversion and you come in from the same position is you bring your hands back into neutral right underneath of your hammock and stretch your legs up as high as they can stretch. From here, you're going to plant your hands onto the floor like a downward facing dog, spread the fingers, push into the palms, and as you push yourself into handstand, take the legs a little wide and use the power of the legs to help lift you. Once you've been working this one for a little while and you feel really strong, you start to bring your legs a little closer together. That's going to take the weight back into the hands. Eventually you start to work this and you unwrap one of the legs at a time, but that's for a later time. Taking as much time in your handstand as you like, really invigorating pose. Really fun when you know you're not going to fall over. At any time you can release, let go, and just hang. If you take your hands into your elbow creases and come in for our little mummy hang. It could be a really nice decompression of the spine, of the neck, of the whole body. And you could breathe here and hang out for another minute or so. When you're ready to come back up, we're going to come back up by reaching the hands in between the legs to grab the fabric. One leg unwraps and then the other leg unwraps to slowly sit back up. Taking the fabric underneath the armpits just to make sure you don't lose your blood pressure. And from this position, you're going to stay underneath the armpit but come back into neutral position. So that's right where you would hang naturally. And you're going to get your loops pre-game. So get them opened up. And then you're going to put your right leg into the right loop, left leg into the left loop. Very good. Really hard and strong with the legs. So once you get them in there, make them heavy and squeeze everything into the midline. This is Scarecrow Pose. If you take your legs wide, this is Scarecrow. Really, another really great way of tractioning the spine. Can feel really good using the handles. Taking a couple breaths here, just breathing. And you can adjust the fabric on the shoulders just like Kara did for comfort, up or down until it feels good. And we'll show you one more way of getting upside down using the feet, pushing down on the feet. This is sometimes a little bit harder than the other way that we did. You're going to slide the fabric, push down into the feet and slide the fabric down into the sweet spot. So that's right at the top of the buttocks. And from here, reach up for the fabric, take your legs really wide and wrap yourself into inversion. So you can see here, now she's back in the same position we were in just before, just using the foot loops to get there. And then slowly starting to sit back up as you're ready, reaching the hands up. One leg unwraps and then the other leg unwraps. And as you come back up, you take it fabric down to the shoulders and you're back in Scarecrow Pose. One leg comes out at a time. Both feet to the floor. And go ahead and stand up. Excellent.